Hey YouTubers, and welcome back to another Dragon Ball Super discussion video. You guys know I wouldn't be doing this particular video that you saw the title, you saw the thumbnail too. I hope you guys like that thumbnail, it took me a while. But guys, you know I wouldn't be here without MJ from MJ TV. MJ, why don't you say hello to everyone? And I said MJ a lot there, so MJ, what's up?
You said MJ like 6 times, bro, but I'm glad to be here. It's always a pleasure to collab with you, bro, especially be on your channel. Thank you for having me back, man. Really do.
No worries, man. No worries. I honestly, we're the dynamic duo, guys. So anyway, we're going to be talking about today who is going to beat Jiren in the Tournament of Power. And I've been talking about Jiren a lot recently after the special and after episode 111. We have so much to talk about when it comes to this guy, like his mistakes that he's making, how strong is he, who trained him, what is his wish going to be. I mean, the show is just kind of giving us so much to go off of. But one of the big questions I think a lot of people are asking themselves is who is going to beat Jiren in the Tournament of Power? Because as we all know, there's going to be someone. He's the big bad. It's probably going to happen. Maybe be Goku. We don't necessarily know. He's still in the ring and he could potentially get his Ultra Instinct form again and go hands with Jiren at some point in the future. But there are so many different possibilities. You and I have talked about so many different times exactly who's being built up, who's being given shine, and who could potentially come in and win this entire thing or be the hero. And I don't think it's as simple as we're just waiting for Goku and Jiren to come back and fight each other during the ending of this particular match. I think it could be someone else. So do you have anyone you want to start off with? Who do you think could potentially come in and have a chance against this man?
Just to be clear, because I have said this on my channel before, just so people don't think I'm a hypocrite, I actually want to say I don't think Jiren is going to lose. I do think Jiren's winning the Tournament of Power. I just want to point that out. I have done that theory on my channel before. So I just wanted to make that clear. Here, I'm going off the idea that he doesn't win and perhaps he will lose, either because he gets outsmarted or someone stronger than him, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going with... It's really tough to say, but and this is maybe me being biased because yes, my profile picture is Zamasu, and yes, he's my favorite character in Super, but one of my overall favorite villains is Frieza. I would really love to see Frieza versus Jiren, like a weakened Jiren, you know what I mean? And to see Frieza actually take the W, because we've talked a lot about how Jiren's really cocky. We've talked a lot about how he's very arrogant. We've talked a lot about that, both on my channel and on your channel. And it would be cool. It would really be cool to see Jiren in that predicament where he's up against somebody. He knows he doesn't have the power to continue fighting. And this is a bit fanboyish right here, but it would be so cool to see them mirror Jiren and Golden Frieza, True Golden Frieza, I might add, to Goku versus Frieza back on Namek. Just this time, there ain't no sunshine and rainbows. There ain't no Krillin getting killed and someone getting a power-up. This is legit Frieza telling him, yo, I've been biding my time. I've been waiting for you to get to this state. Now you're my plaything. You know what I mean? That would be, and to see Jiren put in that predicament, because you know in his head, he's thinking, I should have taken this guy out. I messed up. After I defeated Hit, I should have went and ransacked everyone that I thought was a threat. He didn't do that. Mistake. You've already talked about Jiren's mistakes on his channel. On your channel, my bad. So it would be cool to see him get caught in that predicament in his head. All that's going through his head. He knows he has the power to defeat him. It's just this conniving, this evil person. And it makes sense because even though we do talk about he's cocky, he is still part of the Pride Troopers. He's all about justice. So it would see him get put in that predicament where he just can't defeat evil. The big bad of the tournament becomes the Hunted. And Frieza is now the big bad. I would love that. What were your thoughts?
I honestly love that idea in terms of Frieza coming in and being the one who saves the day. Look, to me, the Tournament of Power, there's just, as much as I agree with you, I've done that video. It's probably on my channel by now. Jiren will potentially win. And when he does win, he'll get his wish. And I think we all are, just to kind of reiterate my point from that video, I think we're all kind of miscalculating Jiren. Even though he is the big bad, he's still part of the Pride Troopers. And maybe his wish will bring back all of the planets. But it would be really interesting considering so much focus has been given to Frieza ever since he came back. You and I have talked about multiple times on your channel and mine just how impressed we are with Frieza in this particular arc. In my opinion, and I think in yours as well, he is absolute hands down the MVP of this arc. Almost every single time you see him, in fact, every time you see him, you just want to see more of him. You don't want them to go away from Frieza, because even him giving Goku energy in almost a line-by-line recreation of the conversation they had back on Namek was amazing. So I love the idea of Frieza being the ultimate big bad. We know he's never going to become a good guy, but putting him in the shoes of saving the universe just because he is a maniacal, conniving person, awesome. That's just terrible.
Okay, before
awesome.
You continue into yours, let me pop you real quick. I can just imagine us getting like a leaked image, and the image of is Jiren all beat up, wrapped in Golden Frieza's tail, and I can just imagine Danny like smashing his keyboard like like everyone would be freaking out waiting for that Saturday. You know what I mean? Waiting for Saturday to come to see that episode.
Exactly. You know what? I just want to kind of pop in. This is not something I think is really going to happen. I mean, really, I think it should happen, but will it happen? I'm not necessarily sure. You and I have talked about this before, and I think it is really worth re-mentioning when it comes to this particular topic. Gohan. Gohan with so many things. We did an entire video about it, like a 20+ minute video about all of the things they have been doing to promote Gohan throughout this entire tournament arc. I mean, from Goku promoting him as the captain, to saying that he increases the mortal level, to Gohan saying he's going to get a transformation that no one's ever seen before, and also Piccolo training him, and then also like it's just so many things. Even him watching Universe 10 get erased, him having to have Universe 10 get erased, and seeing what that could potentially do to him in the future of this tournament. I mean, there's just so much stuff that they're building, little sprinkling effect. And honestly, if they achieve that, if they deliver on these promises that they're making, I feel like me, and along with all the other fan base, will not be unsatisfied with that. Personally, I feel like Gohan is one of the better characters. We haven't seen him have any real shine in Dragon Ball Super, although we've seen Goku and Vegeta and almost everyone else who's been even relatively important. Even in this arc, Gohan's had less shine. I mean, yes, we got to see him take out Universe 10, but at the same time, he was basically a pawn in Frieza's game, and that was like the last time we actually really get to see him do anything important in the last couple episodes. So I really think as we're getting down, we're halfway through the tournament at this point, Jiren needs to come up against Gohan, whether it's him taking out Piccolo or taking out Goku, Vegeta, or something. Gohan needs to get mad, anger moment. This is like he just gets mad, anger moment, raging, and then from the sidelines, if Piccolo's off, Piccolo has to calm him down. I think a lot of the fan base would be really excited about that. Calms him down, and he's able to get in control of his transformation, stronger, more stable, and really ready to fight Jiren, sort of like what we saw with Kale back in the day. So honestly, Gohan, he's my main man here if there was going to be anyone besides Goku, but we can make arguments for so many people.
It's weird because the idea of just someone beating Jiren, I think we have to reiterate the fact that we're talking about maybe a weakened Jiren, because Jiren is just so freaking overpowered. It's like, I don't know who could really like actually step up to him without somebody getting like a new transformation, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What about this though? Do you think there's some novelty in the idea of Kel possibly beating him? Because he's the first person to take out Kel. He stopped her rampage. Could you possibly see Kel after mastering her form and getting stronger, maybe like a Zenkai or something? Maybe her actually taking out Jiren? Do you see some novelty in that?
I do. Honestly, I feel like that would appease so many Broly fans. It would be crazy and almost worth it for Toei just to kind of, give us a sly smile, like, we know what you like, and we're going to give it to you. But I definitely do see some novelty in that, especially when you have Caulifla still in the ring and just her emotional connection to someone like Caulifla. And as I mentioned in my video about Jiren's mistake, I think it is really important to say that Jiren, at least from what we know, had no inclination to think that Kale was going to be enough for him to even pay attention, but he did.
Yeah.
And he didn't take her out, which I think, that might be his biggest mistake. I don't know why he finds it necessary to take out people and not literally eliminate them. But he didn't eliminate her. And they have made a point that she's resting and she's coming back. They did make a point that she has this transformation that was enough to basically put everyone off their game at the very beginning of the tournament. And at the same time, they had her figure out a way to control it. So yeah, they're somewhat building up that storyline in order to make her win. I think another thing is also Kaba. You and I have talked about Kaba a lot in terms of, even though he doesn't seem, he seems like he's the weakest Saiyan on the tournament ring right now. Yeah. But if you really think about it, we haven't seen him do anything since the first fight we saw him do with Vegeta. Not in this tournament, in the last tournament. And that's just when he got his transformation. He's shown off that he has Super Saiyan a lot, but he doesn't necessarily show off that he's anything else. And we all know how that last fight with Vegeta ended, where he was saying, you can get Super Saiyan Blue if you try. And we don't know how hard he's been trying. We don't know whether he's hiding something. And as we've seen, he is really cocky in this tournament. I know we're going to see him in the next episode, and we're going to have to wait and see if he gets eliminated. In my opinion, I don't think he's going to get eliminated in this next fight, but we're just going to have to wait and see. It's possible that he has a somewhat new transformation. It'd be really cool if he has a blue secretly, and he even is above Khalifa and Kale. But what are your thoughts on that?
I would love to see Kaba actually pull through a win. Me and you talked about it. You did a video on your channel, right? Talking about how, what if Kaba were to win? Of course, the idea though, we're talking about him actually fighting Jiren and beating him. He would have to get a newer transformation. I'm surprised they didn't give him one when Hit was eliminated, because he seemed very shocked and kind of like it hit him in the gut that Hit was taken out, because Hit was their leader. So they could have really, now that I think about it, I'm getting a bit off topic here. They could have really hammered down home him possibly maybe getting like Super Saiyan Rage or something. And even though people may call it an asshole, because we never got an actual explanation for the first Rage form, other than the fact that it's just achieved through sheer amounts of rage, it wouldn't have taken that much to really explain why he got it because of Hit. Because for one, they could have played more off the fact that Hit maybe possibly died. Like, of course, that leads into the Jiren, being disqualified, but they could have played more on, like, where Hit falls on the bench, or he's, like, on the ground, and, like, maybe Vados has to heal him because he's just so injured. And Kaba could have transformed them, because think about it. We've done videos talking about how Hit and Kaba are kind of like the two guys who went out and did all the recruiting for Vados and Champa. Like Champa got Kaba to do his part, and Vados, I'm assuming, got Hit to do his part. So they're kind of the recruiters, and we know Hit's been training. We know Kaba's been training. It's not too hard to say that for Vados to throw in that line, oh, he must have felt rage because, of his mentor. And then you could tie it into what happened to Renzo. You get my point there? We've gotten little bits of dialogue in the past that would not be too hard to use and to utilize the transformation for Kaba with Hit getting eliminated. Because he legit looked like it hit him when Hit was taken out. So they could have used that as a moment for him to transform, but it looks like his actual episode's coming up this week, so we'll get a dedicated episode of him. But it's hard to say, bro. Like I just said, with Jiren, he's just so powerful. I really don't even know, because even if Kaba did get blue, what's he gonna do? It's like,
I know. It's crazy. Like, it's so crazy. But yeah, like Super Saiyan Rage, something in order to put him over. I guess the same thing could be said for Vegeta. Vegeta could potentially win this. In fact, I feel like if they were smart, and I really say this, I feel like Vegeta should win this if there was a Hail Mary pass. I don't want to be a Vegeta hater. If you say anything about Vegeta that's not Vegeta's going to win, definitely, like, mark my words. There's a lot of people who don't necessarily like that. Like, they feel like you're hating on him. But in all reality, I don't think he's really been built up in this arc. There's a lot of weird things about him, considering the fact that they did have Brawl being born right before this. He should seemingly have motivation that we haven't necessarily seen. But Vegeta just doesn't seem to be the person who's being built up to win this. As you said, we could talk about Kaba, we can talk about Kale or Frieza, even Goku, obviously Goku, Gohan, all getting a chance to beat Jiren, because the story has really positioned them in a way from the very beginning of this arc to be important. Vegeta, he's always important. We know he's always important, and he's going to be vital to winning, whether that's taking out Dispo and Topo, whether that's literally hurting Jiren to the point where someone else can step in and get a hang of it, or figuring out how, he's a fighting genius, figuring out how to beat Jiren, but not necessarily being strong enough to do it. Something. But I don't necessarily think that Vegeta is going to win.
It's hard to say because I'm sure you're going to have a lot of Vegeta fans watching this video. And I think you're right. There's not much there to really say that he could possibly win this. It's funny because he was so in love with his family before he entered the Room of Spirit and Time. Then when he exited, it's like he's been kind of just like in his own little world. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure if anyone's ever noticed that, but he's just had these weird bits of dialogue. And it's funny because I know Super has many different writers, but if it's one thing being consistent with Super, it's the fact that Vegeta's just been weird ever since coming out of the Room of Spirit at the time. So I really don't know. They could play it like that. Me and you talked about, remember we did a Paint a Picture and Nobody's Afraid, I believe, where we talked about Vegeta, how maybe, just maybe, he fires off a new technique that's able to hurt Jiren, and then it gives Goku the edge. They double KO, and since Vegeta's the last one on the platform, he could win that way. But that's not technically getting the win over Jiren. It's like I don't know, man. Maybe he could pull off a win. We could use the same argument I used for Frieza. We just had to say Jiren's injured. It's a injured Jiren fighting a Vegeta in his full power, and Vegeta possibly overcoming the odds. But that's the one thing that I think we got to really reiterate with this video, is that with who beats Jiren, we and the people watching, because they're going to have their own theories, is that we have to come up with ways to actually make it make sense. Like Frieza, we've already talked about numerous times about how we think he's hiding power. So if he's hiding power, he's hiding some type of different energy. It would make sense if he were to come up against a weakened Jiren and actually somehow just dominate him. Gohan and Kaba, new transformations. It's been hinted that Gohan wants to get a new form. Kale, mastery her form, and then using her full potential. And then Kaba, he's so cocky right now. Vegeta, it's just, I don't know. It's hard to say about Vegeta, bro. It really is. Like, I really don't know what they're doing with him in this arc. I was hoping for a Vegeta hit rematch. That didn't happen, so I don't know.
I was too. I think a lot of people were. But, honestly, we only have a couple more people to talk about. So, people, if you're still listening, I really appreciate it. I hope you've been enjoying the conversation. But these people aren't necessarily in depth. I just want to reiterate the same points. And the idea that I heard a lot of people saying this, making a legitimate point. And also, I think it's a little out there, but it is a legitimate point that they have said over and over again in this tournament that 18 and 17 do not have any type of stamina issues. And I'm not sure, and I've argued this before, but I'm not sure that Jiren is someone who has a high amount of stamina. The guy moves so incredibly fast, and he is so incredibly strong that I can't see him fighting constantly at any given point. He keeps people at a distance mostly, and he uses force fields in order to keep people away from him. He sits out an entire tournament, and as I think it's really important to keep reiterating, this fight, even though they're saying it's 48 minutes, and you're like, oh man, like that's not very long at all. This is the longest fight in all of Dragon Ball, outside of maybe the Frieza fight, like all of the Frieza fight, not just the whole 5-minute thing, or maybe in obviously the very first fight between in the 21st tournament, the final between Roshi and Goku. Yeah, that was like hours. But this is an incredibly long fight, and I really have to reiterate that they said this. They said this.
Just to cut you off real quick before people start commenting down below, you are right, because these fights happen very quickly. I was just watching the Future Trunks episode last night, episode 120, I think, and the way things are happening, even though things are happening to us in cinematic time, like it takes a whole episode, Ten Shinhan and Yamcha on the other side are just like kind of like telling us, the audience, like, oh, this is happening in an instant. This is happening in an instant. So even though it seems long to us, Trunks probably killed King Cold and Frieza within the span of like a minute.
Yeah. They take it out, and they even said it in Dragon Ball during the 22nd tournament that when Ten Shinhan and Goku go into the final match, they said that their average fighting time for those fights was 30 seconds or less.
Yeah.
and each of those fights is like 1 or 2 episodes each. So just to kind of paint that picture of like, yeah, this is a very long fight, and everyone has been fighting besides Jiren. Jiren's the only one who's decided like to sit out this entire tournament, almost. And as soon as he gets what he needs done, taking out Hit and taking out Goku, he literally just goes to rest again. So I think it is worth mentioning that they have kind of been promoting 17 and 18 as having unlimited energy, and Jiren, for as much as strong as he is, seemingly doesn't seem to have it, if you really take it logically in what he's doing. Because if he did, then why wait? Like, why is he so arrogant to think that no one can take him out? Unless if he were to fight an entire 48 minutes, he might be weak enough for someone to actually take him out and put his team at risk.
No, I completely agree. There's actually evidence that highly supports this. In fact, I think it's actually factual to say that after he takes out Kel, Toppo remarks to him, Jiren, you need to save your strength. So Jiren does tire. Yeah, guys, Jiren may be alpha, but he's not invincible. He does tire like everybody else. So with that being said, you are right. That's probably the main reason why he went straight to meditating, to kind of just gather everything up again, you know, like kind of recharge his battery pack, if you will, after fighting Goku and Hit, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And so I think it is, although I don't think that 17 and 18 are going to be the ones to take him out, it would be kind of cool to see them fight him and start tiring him out. As you already said, I feel like anyone who beats Jiren, just because he's so alpha, it's going to have to be a team effort. And and it can't just be Goku going straight up or Hit going straight up against him. It needs to be a team going up against him. And if that's the case, 18 and 17 can do a lot to tire him out. And I would really like to see that. But do you have any other thing to say about 17 or 18, or should we start talking about Piccolo and the Namekians?
I would like to say it'd be cool to see 17 versus Dispo. That's kind of my dream fight that I want to see currently.
Yeah. But I think it is worth mentioning Namekians in Universe 6 and Piccolo could potentially fuse. I mean, if, like I said, team effort and also what we've seen from Namekian fusion, the 2 times that we've actually seen it in this series, an unbelievable power increase, fusing with 2 of them with Piccolo already would put him, I think, and be an ass pull, sure. I mean, it would be a huge retcon to just how much this can actually work. But if it were to put him on Jiren's level as a team effort, you know, we're going to die anyway, I think that would be really cool to see.
I don't know if I would say put him on Jiren's level, but possibly put him on the level where Piccolo, after he fused with the Namekian, 17, possibly Gohan, Vegeta, like all fighting Jiren. Like it would kind of be similar to the idea where he got energy from Krillin and Gohan back on Namek, and he was able to stall Frieza for that brief moment of time so Goku can gather the Genki. It would be something like that, you know, where he's able just to kind of keep up with Jiren and keep up with his movements, you know, be able to see his punches and stuff. It's kind of cool because I can definitely see them doing something where they're talking about it, you know, and they're trying to say, hey, that's the common enemy right there. It's like in wrestling in the Royal Rumble when guys who don't usually team up together, they see the 500-pound Big Show and they're like, he's the common enemy, let's throw him out first. It would be like that. And then you can have Hit, who is the team leader, you can have him give them the okay and say, hey, I'm still the team leader. If you 3 fusing means a power-up to get him off the tournament stage, do it. You know what I mean? I could definitely see them going like, okay, listening to their team leader, him, all 3 of them, you know, I guess gather together and they all fuse and they create this ultimate Namekian warrior, you know what I mean? And plus, we don't know much about them, so they could definitely play it off to where they can be like the big dude is like the strongest Namekian. Like he's like the ultimate warrior type, far beyond anything that was seen before. Like even like Kami, like the original Kami and Piccolo thing, far beyond anything. And then they could say he's like a magic type, a healing type, similar to Dende. So they could really, even though it might be an ass pull, they can really wordplay it and use certain dialogue to make this seem like a really epic thing. You know, a real big deal. You know what I mean? A real big fusion. So they're.
What I would also like to see, this is just me going to paint a picture from this. Yeah, I agree with you. So you have like Hit, everyone talking amongst each other, like this is the main big bad guy here. We need to take him out, even if it means like losing 2 of our members. And Piccolo's just like, you know, we'll take my body, because maybe he's in better shape or something, like we saw with Nail. It's like, you can't, maybe, yeah, if these Namekians are stronger than Piccolo, probably not, but I mean, like you said, it's so easy to play around with words and just kind of retconning things that Piccolo's like, okay, you fuse into me, both of you, and I promise, he's like, I know you're losing 2 members, but I promise we'll get the energy, we'll take him out, and then I'll instantly eliminate myself. Like, as a prideful thing, because he's like, he's like, you know, it's not fair. We still have to fight for our own universes, and you're giving up 2 members. I can at least give up 1.
Yeah.
And put the teams back on even ground, because at that point you're still going to have the 3 Saiyans and potentially the 3 Saiyans plus Frieza. And I personally think that would be pretty epic. Of course, we're not necessarily sure how that fight would go, but honestly, with 24 minutes left, the world is our possibility, dude. Like, it's just exciting to think about.
It really is, and there's still that wacky idea about those 2 Universe 4 bugs fusing, creating a powerful warrior. So
exactly. I mean, there's just so much that could potentially come out of this. And I think the one person we do have to talk about before we leave here, although it's not as interesting as all these wild cards, Goku. Goku, Jiren, round 2, Ultra Instinct perfected. I mean, what do you think?
It's easy. It's generic. It's typical. Goku beats him. He wishes back all the universes. Call it a day. Kamehameha over there. Call it a day. You know what I'm saying? Like that. But no. Okay. Yeah. I think everyone wants to see the rematch. I was talking to my friend Faded Nimbus the other day, and he was telling me how, man, dude, Jiren's so cocky. I just want to see Goku punch him in the face already. You know, so people want to see the rematch. People are hyped. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but on YouTube, the Goku versus Jiren, not the fan animation, the actual Goku versus Jiren from Super is, I think, at like 2.2 million views. So Goku and Jiren right now, it's huge. So the rematch would be even more epic, I would assume. And that's the Goku would probably see with the shirt ripped off, looking all buff, you know what I mean? So, I mean, obviously, this is easier because remember, we had to say that with the other guys, we have to say a tired Jiren or a Jiren with no stamina or a weakened Jiren, right? Here, we can say a full power Jiren, and we can safely assume that Goku with, you know, no time limit, full perfection of the technique and ability, he could probably take the W after a long, hard fight. He could probably take the W because Vermouth actually did mention that, of course, no one could obtain that easily, and he had like his hands in his hair, so he was really shook over the fact that Goku was able to use Ultra Instinct and was taking it to Jiren. So that may be any indication is that if Goku gets this again, he may actually possibly defeat Jiren, and if that's the case, that's a storybook ending right there. The idea with Goku winning, though, you did a video on this on your channel talking about Goku's win-loss record in the tournaments. I guess I would be okay with it if he won it, because this would technically be his second tournament he's ever won, right?
And it would also go back to the first tournament he won was to save the world. This one was to save the universe.
Yeah,
I mean,
Goku
true. Goku wins when there's stakes.
That's true.
He loses when there's not. Well, you could say that he lost to Cell, but I mean, whatever. We're not talking about that.
I mean, yeah, that's a storybook ending right there that close out this arc. You know, Goku pulls through the win. He shows that just like back in the 23rd tournament, he was the strongest under the heavens. Here, he was the strongest in the multiverse. You know, like Immortals, anyways. So.
And guys, I mean, obviously, like we always say, this is a conversation between MJ and I, but it's not going to just end with us talking about this stuff because you guys are part of this community too. You've been listening. I want to hear everyone's thoughts and opinions about who do you think is going to beat Jiren. We've gone down the gauntlet about everyone who's still in the ring, who is at least, I guess, somewhat capable of beating him or has enough focus put on them that we might get to see fight him at some point down the line. Not all this is going to happen. We're not saying any of this is going to happen. It's just, wouldn't it be cool if this stuff happened, and who do you think is going to come out on top? But with that being said, guys, I want everyone to go down to the description section below, hit that link, and go subscribe to MJ. The guy makes some really awesome content. You're not going to want to miss anything over there. Quality Dragon Ball content over there, guys. So also, please like, comment, subscribe, share this video out to all your friends. Hit that bell over by the subscriber button because that's going to notify you every single time I upload. But with that being said, guys, we hope everyone has a great, super fantastic day and an awesome weekend. Hope everyone's really excited for episode 112.